Where did we leave off yesterday? Oh, right. Tang felt humiliated by a 5-to-1 situation and decided to face Lin in a one-on-one duel instead. He then activated a skill, seemingly a buffing-type skill, which resulted in 2 rings encircling his sword. You might wonder, what's so impressive about that? Well, I'm not entirely sure myself, but the audience seemed to recognize the skill. As it turns out, Holy Swordsman can summon a star ring every 10 levels, and each ring represents a top-tier skill that he has mastered. It seems like Tang has mastered 2 of the most powerful early-level Holy Swordsman abilities. Lin, who was quite intrigued by this, begins the match by summoning a skeletal mage, this time choosing a lightning elemental type. The moment the skeletal mage appears, it raises its staff, and the sky darkens. Clouds gather above, and then a striking bolt of lightning tears through the sky. This was no other than the skeletal mage's ability, Thunderstrike. Following a tremendous roar, Tang doesn't dodge or flee. However, the Thunderstrike didn't seem to inflict any damage on him. Tang started laughing while informing Lin that this was his elemental sword form, his first ability, making him immune to all elemental attacks for 10 minutes. That's why he isn't afraid of Lin's skeletal mage. Cheers and screams erupt from the stands, with spectators standing, screaming, some jumping up, waving their arms, others clapping, and a few shaking their heads, believing Tang's ability completely counters Lin's skeletal mage, already thinking Lin was about to lose this round. However, some recall that Lin's previously summoned mage was a different elemental and speculate Lin might have other types of skeletons up his sleeve. Back onto the stage, as Tang anticipated, his ability completely neutralizes any of skeletal mage's attacks. Lin's only chance of victory is to outlast the 10 minutes. But he didn't think Lin would have any chance. The next moment, he dashed towards Lin, ready to strike. Suddenly, a chilling sensation washes over him. Trusting his intuition, Tang swiftly retreats. In the moment of his retreat, a slash imbued with a red glow whizzed past him, just barely missing his throat. The audience, shocked, leaped up once again. It was then that everyone saw a skeleton wielding a long sword materialized in the arena. It appeared to them that Lin was indeed capable of summoning more than one type of skeleton. Tang, recovering from his initial shock with a sweat breaking on his forehead, took several deep breaths to calm himself, realizing he should not underestimate Lin. Perhaps this was his true trump card. The sudden appearance of the skeletal warrior only fueled his fighting spirit, and he charged forward once more, this time with even greater speed. However, the skeletal warrior was noticeably faster, remaining stationary until Tang entered its attack range. A spark flashed in the skeleton's eyes, followed by a rampage strike, the great sword meeting the charge in an instant. Tang could hardly see the skeletal warrior's swinging motion. Leaving him no room to dodge, Tang employed his repel skill, this skill which allowed him to block all incoming attacks and repel the enemy. However, with a clash, Tang was sent flying back several meters by the impact. The skeletal warrior was not any better and was also propelled backward. Tang could feel severe pain in his palm, and his entire arm went numb after that first encounter. He quickly realized that the skeletal warrior was not only faster, but also terrifyingly strong. Clutching the hilt tightly and taking a deep breath, he activated his second star ring. Suddenly, his body was covered in a golden light, and his muscles tensed. In this state, all his attributes were increased tenfold for the next 5 minutes. Witnessing such an exciting match drove the audience wild. This skill was one of the exclusive abilities of the Holy Swordsman, much stronger than the berserk skill for most warrior-type professions. What makes it even more amazing is that this skill comes without any side effects. Without missing a beat, Tang lunged at the skeletal warrior with the skill Dragon Strike. Although it didn't kill the skeletal warrior, it still managed to once again send it flying and cause it to crash to the ground. However, the skeletal warrior didn't get up this time. Seemed like it was under some crowd control effect. The crowd was once again in an uproar. With the skeletal warrior controlled and the skeletal mage's attacks ineffective against Tang, the audience finally got their money's worth and witnessed the strength of the Holy Swordsman firsthand. But at the same time, they also began to pity Lin for his impending loss. Meanwhile, on stage, Tang revealed a slight smirk, perhaps confident of his victory. After sending the skeletal warrior flying, Tang made a beeline for Lin, determined to finish the duel in under 10 seconds. However, what happened next put him on the fast break. Standing across him, Lin summoned several more skeletons, nonchalantly placing one of his hands in his pocket, seemingly not worried at all. Despite being able to easily end the fights in mere seconds, Lin chose to prolong it, clearly intending to show off his prowess and his skills so he could draw more attention. And who exactly he was trying to draw out? None other than the hidden forces watching in the shadows. The audience was taken aback as Lin summoned 2 more skeletons. No one had expected a single professional before their second-class transfer managed to own so many powerful summoned creatures. However, this also led many to believe that this was Lin's limit. Seeing 2 more skeletons materialize beside Lin caused Tang to halt, though he stubbornly believed that if he went all out, even 2 additional skeletons couldn't defeat him. Preparing for another attack, Tang was about to boast about his unused skills when, suddenly, several more skeletal warriors appeared, lining up in front of Lin, forming a defensive line. Each skeletal warrior, adopting a different pose, glared fiercely at Tang. The arena was suddenly engulfed in a chilling wind, and Tang could feel the temperature plummeting. He shivered. The skill he was about to cast was also interrupted, and his previous confidence shattered. He wondered how Lin could manage to summon so many skeletons. He isn't the only one pondering this, as the scene also leaves the spectators in stunned silence. Screw this crap. I'm out, he thought to himself, before sheathed his sword and turned away. Lin, curious, asked if he was giving up. Tang coughed twice, waving his hands towards Lin, and announced that he would return for a rematch after his second-class transfer. By then, he will surely kick Lin's ass. With that, he sprinted to the edge of the arena and leaped down, which left everyone speechless. After a few seconds of dead silence, the announcer declared Lin's team the winner. The crowd erupted into deafening cheers, with everyone shouting Lin's name and proclaiming, "The Necromancer is invincible." Lin stepped down from the arena, greeted warmly by his teammates who praised him, while Yi Yi also noted his growing popularity. As the both of them walked along the sideline, other contestants also greeted him, and he nodded in acknowledgement. Yi Yi, noticing Lin seemed a little odd today, expressed concern and asked him if everything was okay. Lin turned around and shook his head with a smile, insisting he was fine. With the semi-finals approaching and the teams qualified for tomorrow's battles announced, it seemed these last few fights would feature very strong teams. Yi Yi regretted not being able to offer more help to Lin, aside from cheering him on. Lin didn't mind, telling her it was all good, but his mind was elsewhere. He had been advised by White Divine to perform exceptionally well to attract certain attention. White Divine also mentioned that several talented prodigies from their nation had been assassinated during their rise in recent years. This only made Lin angry as a cold, killing intent formed within him. He looked into the distances, while hoping that with him being the bait, they could lure them bastards out. As they walked, one of the contestants pointed towards a high platform surrounded by a purple barrier, with 3 items floating in the air. One of the items, as one man excitedly recognized, was a basic miracle potion that could permanently increase attributes by 200 for anyone below level 40. Another was a brilliant basic skill scroll that guaranteed mastery of a new skill. Lin smiled at the sight, understanding these were the rewards for the champions of their level bracket in the professional competition. Unlike others who fixated on the prizes the entire time, Lin only glanced for a brief moment before continuing walking. Confident in his victory, he preferred to take his time examining the rewards when they were in his hands.